Hey everybody, welcome back to the Road Tripsy podcast. We are on the grounds today at Locust Grove. We've just talked to two of their staff members. Amazing information is about to come your way. We think you're going to want to listen in.
Absolutely.
We are on the beautiful porch right now here at historic Locust Grove. And we would love for you all. This is a big question. We always start with, tell us everything you want us to know.
Yeah.
Or that a person who would want to visit would need to know.
Well, we are a Louisville Metro Park, which means that the grounds are open from dawn till dusk, 365 days a year. And the house itself is a National Historic Landmark, which means that the Department of the Interior believes it's important to preserve the house with its current historical integrity to serve the public trust. So by having public land and a public home, I always like to say this place belongs to you. And what we want people to know is that whether you want to learn about history education or immerse yourself in Kentucky's landscape or find a place to get married, we have something for you. I really like to serve as a resource of knowledge, but also of experiences. The majority of visitors that we get are from out of town or even out of the state as an official spot on the Lewis and Clark Trail. We certainly get a lot of Lewis and Clark niche audience followers, but even the surrounding neighborhoods, we definitely know our neighbors and their dogs and their children who grow up sledding here or playing in the gardens. So we just try to serve as a community resource for those who need it.
And it's a beautiful property. I think you said as we were walking to the house this morning, the house is one of 12 buildings.
12 or 14 outbuildings. It depends on what you consider. There's a historic cabin that is now connected to a visitor center. So they're kind of two separate ones, but it's 55 acres total. And we have a formal historic garden, the grounds around the buildings. We have educational gardens where we grow fruit and vegetables. We have a large meadow and then forest and urban trails throughout the forest.
It's certainly tranquil and beautiful here. And this property used to be part of 550 acres, is that right?
At its largest extent, it was 693.5 acres.
Wow.
The country estate of William Croghan and his family. We're basically at the very center of that 700 almost acres right now. It extended from here a mile to the north, all the way to the Ohio River, and about 3/4 of a mile to the south to the muddy fork of the Beargrass Creek.
Beargrass Creek.
Mm-hmm.
So navigation was by water, much easier by water at
Yes.
this time frame.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And we are outside of Louisville, Kentucky. This home was built in the 1790s when Louisville was only about 5,000 people. And we're about an hour and a half outside of Louisville by horse at that time, or about 2 hours by foot.
Thank you for the reference.
Exactly.
Because I may need to know that
And by
at
car,
some point, but it really puts it all in
5
perspective.
to 7
5
minutes.
to 7 minutes,
I
yeah,
was gonna
straight
say,
down River Road.
Yeah.
When most people think about Louisville, they think of traffic and buildings and concrete, but
No.
it was a treat.
It was a
Walking in
2-hour
here this
walk
morning.
down the river through basically uncultivated land to here on the frontier.
So when you do put that in perspective, which is great historical perspective, they were really out in the country
were.
if it were an hour and a half horseback ride.
Yes.
And if you think about the stopping points from the East Coast here, right? Because again, we're coming down the Ohio River, but for interior towns like Lexington or Frankfort, in early Kentucky, late 18th century, early 19th century, Lexington, Frankfort were considered very high style, sophisticated, almost outposts of the East. The furniture and the clothing, things were sourced from Philadelphia or New York at the time. So spots along the way that you would stop if you were a person of elite or note You would go from places like Liberty Hall in Frankfort or Ashland in Lexington and go to these homesteads of important people who are settling the area. Locust Grove is the last stop before you get to the urban sewer of the city of Louisville. Because at that time, Louisville was known as the graveyard of the West.
Oh,
People would come to town and get sick. There were a lot of low-lying swamp areas, a lot of ponds. Bilious fever or malaria would be rampant. It was also really hard to get past the Falls of the Ohio at certain times of year. So it wasn't a guarantee that you got past the city. And so we are safe from the pestilence.
An hour and a half away.
Right. And even here, they complained about between here and the river. So if you go down River Road in Louisville now, you'll pass what's called Caperton Swamp, which is very much still a swamp.
Still a swamp.
And it's in the floodplain of the Ohio River. But the Croghans complained for decades of the state of the land between here at the house and the river, that it was very swampy and very fetid and disease-ridden. But we are up here at the high point of the land, safe from all of that, as much as could be.
All the pestilence.
Exactly.
The pestilence.
I love that. It is, I mean, that's right. What is so fun about history is we know the state of things now, but thinking back to the frame that they were seeing it all through, it's fascinating. And you all, so for someone who wants to road trip, they can enjoy the property.
Oh,
They
yes.
can't. You have a research library.
Yes, we keep books on Kentucky history, American history. There's a lot on Lewis and Clark. You will find indigenous history to what before we were Kentucky, to the region, especially around the waterways. There are also books on Aaron Burr and any of the presidents that visited, or John James Audubon. So we like to keep this research library not only for our own scholarship, but to advance the body of knowledge around Kentucky history. There is no Louisville History Museum. There's no Kentucky History Museum. And our slogan is "Where Louisville Began," as the final home of Louisville's founder. But I always like to pitch it as, this is where Louisville begins for you. You can come here and experience the natural bounty of Kentucky's landscape and how beautiful it is, and the reason why it was settled and taken as it was, because we have so much incredible flora and fauna. And then you can go into homes and learn about how the United States came to be, or how Kentucky or Louisville came to be. But then you're also very close to distillery experiences, incredible restaurants, hotels downtown. It's 10 to 15 minutes to the famous Churchill Downs. So for a road trip, it's a great place to start to really be immersed in what it means to visit Kentucky, and then learn about your surroundings before you experience it.
Yeah, I love that frame.
Yeah.
That you've set, because we have been to Louisville so many times. We love so many things about Louisville, and we've gotten to experience a lot of really cool, even behind the scenes type of things in Louisville. And so we just did the tour of the house, and it is immaculately curated. It's so thoughtful, and we've toured many historic homes. You all have really created something special here, and you're maintaining something special here.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, people can tour the home. They have to sign up for a time. Is that correct?
We have time tours every day between Tuesday and Saturday. There are 4 of them a day, and you can sign up online. But they're also just free to show up to the visitor center before one of those time tours, and we'll get you on the next one.
And
as you can, I'm sorry.
There's a small fee.
There is cost to get in, depending on what age you are, or
but only for the guided tour of the home.
Right.
The grounds are always open, and there's a self-guided audio tour of the outbuildings that people can take themselves on for free.
And we keep, again, because we're a metro park, when we come in the daytime, we open up all the outbuildings. So if someone's just out here having a picnic or walking around, they can go into Louisa's house and look at what it might be like for a woman enslaved to the property who is responsible for cooking and cleaning and caring for the garden. So there's a fee to get into the main historic house, but everything else we try to keep as accessible
Including
as
our
possible.
museum galleries are free to the public.
And we're also a member of Museums for All.
Okay.
So for anyone who is on SNAP or WIC benefits, there is no cost for admission.
Oh.
So we want to make sure that we don't just give the privilege of knowledge to those who can afford it, but that it's open and available for anyone who may need it. So,
Love that.
yeah.
That's a great detail for everyone to
Yeah. And it's a membership too. So if you're on, any kind of EBT programs and you come and you ask for, it's called a community membership, and we give you and your family a free membership as long as you use it. That's what matters to us.
And looking at your website before, nicely done.
Okay.
I did
It
notice
won an
that
award.
Very nice.
their award-winning website. I did notice that you all do have virtual tours if accessibility is an issue as well. So, and is that there were some videos online?
Yes.
Is the entire virtual experience online?
Those are on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
But also, we received a grant 2-3 years ago from the Americana Foundation, because there are so many people who are on the property that we will never see because they're here
Of
after
course.
hours or on the weekends.
Or sledding in the snow.
Exactly.
Right.
That there are little signs that you can scan a QR code, and it'll take you to our website that tells you, let's say, Louisa's house, for example. Not only does it have a biography of Louisa Brown and all the documents and all the things that we have that go to her, but that it would also explain what dwellings were like for those who were enslaved at this time period, what would be in the garden. It's a more comprehensive educational experience just by scanning a QR code that takes to our website.
Yes.
Love that.
Yeah.
Accessibility is
It is,
so
and
important.
we wish we could be more accessible, but obviously the home was not designed with that in mind.
And most historic houses are not accessible to those with wheelchairs. You either have to add a building onto the side that gets a lift in. You can't put in elevators, things like that. So as much as the house may not be accessible, we try to make everything else as accessible. But since iPhones came out, I don't know if I've told you this. Since iPhones came out, I always like to take, the site has an iPad, and if the tour guide has an iPhone, then you can FaceTime.
Oh.
And so you give the visitor the iPad with the bigger screen, and the guide can still continue the tour with their phone.
What a lovely...
And you have to have iPhones to do it,
Yeah.
but then you can FaceTime and they can see the rooms upstairs without having to take the physical stairs.
in real life.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's interesting too, because we did just do the tour with you all. George Rogers Clark, who lived here at the end of his life, he had a wheelchair.
This was not a wheelchair accessible for him either.
Yeah, but he needed accessibility, even though they did the best they could at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So his wheelchair is in there in his bedroom as well. So,
and he had the very first room, across the hall from the dining room, right out to the back porch, and there was a man enslaved here named Kit who would get him from a bed or a chair to his wheelchair and in and out of the spaces. So it's funny that we bring that up. I didn't put that together, talking about how accessible it is for our original inhabitant.
And this porch that we're sitting on was built entirely for his benefit. Basically, yes, because porches were not at all common on homes of the time period. And so this was added for his benefit after he moved here in 1809, so that he could watch out over the activity of the farm and meet visitors to the farm. We've got lots of correspondence about people visiting at Locust Grove and meeting old Uncle George on the porch.
The famous George Rogers Clark, father of the West, just sitting on the back porch in his wheelchair.
I'm glad they built it for him, because
it's our benefit.
Yes,
That's right. It is a lovely spot. Great porch weather entering into, and you all have, thinking about the fall, the weather today is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
Making us think about porch season and fall things. You all have amazing events coming up. I feel like you always have events. So that's another thing people can look on your website for.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Lots of, in the summers we do music concerts under the pavilion upcoming in the fall, and next month we have our antiques market is one of our biggest events out here in the lawn out in front of the house. We'll have
vendors,
dozens of vendors selling antiques from silver and
I think there are about
furniture.
75 antique vendors total. And then the Gardener's Fair is also a vendor event, and that's Mother's Day weekend. We try to, when I first came, I came in January as the new leader of the organization, and I looked at all of the different events that we do, and I realized, how do we serve our mission? And historic house museums, we're all kind of struggling to make ends meet. In 1976, when a lot of houses opened, families took their kids to tours on the weekends. School buses made sure kids got here. But now, I always say our biggest competition is not each other, it's Netflix. It's just not a culture anymore. Yeah. So we have to find other ways to earn revenue to stay open. And so when I looked at our mission and everything that we do, I like to say that we are cultural generators that connect authentic experiences over time and place. So whether it's 1809 or 2009, we're trying to connect, and I don't just say human experiences, because we're also coexisting with an incredible amount of deer and fox and bears and spiders and snakes and the flora and fauna of our place, so we all share this place. And so when I looked at all of the cultural ways that we connect to our community or not, I realized that we kind of do it in 4 different ways. One way is through history. Obviously, that's where our hearts lie. We're historians here, and that's really where we come at it, through the lens of the past. But we also do it through the arts, whether it's poetry or performing arts, theatrical performances, chamber music, to rock and roll and the blues, which was really fun.
It was fun. Kentucky Shakespeare is doing a performance here later this year.
They're doing Frankenstein in October. They do a performance of Frankenstein here every year.
I have a book club
Just
event.
this past weekend, we had our big summer book sale.
Book sale.
We do 3 book sales a year. This is something that's been going on at Locust Grove now for 20 years. This is kind of one of these big parts of the community that we serve is through our book sales. It's actually our largest fundraiser is our annual, or the 3 of them. We take donations from our neighbors and people across Louisville year round for their books, and we sell them right back to them.
It's like a large book. It's a community book swap because there's the service of drop all your books off here. And when I tell you that we will come in and have to physically move books just to open the door, there will be books dropped off any day, all year long. And then we sort them into genre. Paperbacks are $1, hardbacks are $2. If they're especially rare, we'll mark them up. And then people come in and buy them. It's the most diverse set of books, and then the most diverse set of audience that buy them. People spend thousands of dollars. Dealers come from all over the region, West Virginia, Chicago. They know about our book
I gave
sale.
over 100 of my hard-earned dollars right back to you.
It's hard not to if
really
you love
hard not to. It's the best book sale in the world. I'm not exaggerating.
It's really amazing. So we do history, we do the arts, we also do civics because of our position in the formation of the United States and the city and the state. We try to do what we can to help create engaged, productive citizens. And I won't say better because, what's the baseline on that? So, but as long as they are engaged in the democratic process, we try to offer history education and historic preservation as a means to inspire a new generation of people to be involved, because history is a tool of democracy. It is absolutely crucial for the life of the everyday citizen. The young ones aren't quite sold on it yet, but they're worried about where they're going, less about where they're coming from, but as people get older, they recognize the value of history as a tool for civic engagement. And then the last way that we share our mission is through the land. environmental initiatives or education. We're working with a community garden center in the west end of Louisville, and it's an after-school care. And these are poor children of color who don't have access to large open green spaces. And we work with them on growing food from planting to harvest, and then how to cook it. So we do a lot of fun culinary activities too. The Hearth Kitchen, which is just right behind us, every single field trip that comes through witnesses or helps prepare food in the Hearth Kitchen. And it's kind of a core memory for kids that come. They remember the cornbread and the maple butter. And so for one of our big fundraising events we're having this fall, we're having cornbread ice cream with maple butter pies to kind of give nod to what the children experience when they're
I
here.
came here as an 8-year-old. I was on the other side of it, and I grew up and wanted to come back and start giving tours.
Yeah.
Core memories.
It absolutely is. This is
And how do we get signed up for that?
You come anytime. You come anytime.
That sounds delicious.
Yes. We're having a fundraiser in October that it's a progressive experience. Ever since we built the large visitor center, and because of accessibility, a lot of things have been happening outside of the house itself, to the point where not everybody we serve even sees it, or people that volunteer with us weekly haven't been in months, So we're having our famous chef Damaris Phillips do appetizers and cocktails in the house itself. And then Chef Dallas McGarity, who's a Chopped winner, he's doing dinner in the Audubon Room. And then dessert and music will be in the pavilion with Louisville Cream and Georgia Sweet Potato Pie Company. So it'll be an experience that
Sounds delicious.
Yes, I know. I'll send you guys an invitation.
We will accept.
I know you'll have to get a room because there will be cocktails as well. But
Don't drive home afterwards.
No problem.
and of course this is Kentucky, right? So people are always like, "Where's the bourbon?"
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things that we have on the property is the 18th century distillery, and a distillery here is very much like it is another farm tool. It's crop management on how to process the corn liquor to barter with. But we have a 1790s copper pot still.
5-gallon still. The Croghan's had a 40-gallon still.
Wow.
In addition to their corn, they also distilled brandy out of their apples and cherries.
And something called Bounce.
Cherry Bounce.
Cherry Bounce was George Washington's favorite drink.
Cherry Bounce is
It's like a brandy liqueur.
Cherry brandy mixed with other stuff.
Yeah.
It was something that they made around the holiday times, kind of like mulled wine.
It's a little nipper. It's for nipping.
In Poland, I believe they refer to it as nalovka.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sounds nice.
that sounds fun. But we use a firebox in distillation, and I'm pretty sure that only Mount Vernon and Locust Grove are the only two places in the United States that still distill with fire.
Wow.
So it's not every day we fire it up, but
So
It's
how
cool when we do.
often do you all distill?
it's a paid experience.
Oh, okay.
So we also got a grant from the Heaven Hill Corporation to provide add-on experiences to their experiences. So if a group, for example, we have a group coming in mid-October
Yes, with
who
Mint
will do, Mint Julep Tours has partnered with it, and they'll come and we'll fire up the still. And we can take it just past the mash. There's a section, because we don't have a craft distiller's license. What we create then has to go to a distillery to be finished. So we can do the beginning part of the process, the farm side of it. But this group will be doing a program called From Grain to Glass. And they'll have a tasting here in the house. So people can hire us to do it, because it does take all day.
Considerable effort goes
yes.
into just
And
Prepare it.
they don't
Yes.
call it the mash for nothing. Like
Yeah,
it
there's
has
work
to be
mashed.
mashed,
Yeah.
which is a lot. So, but it's really exciting, and it's something that opens up our possibility for the future. I can't wait for our very own locust
Our-
flavored bourbon.
You all also have spaces that can be rented
Oh yes.
that, for events and We were
are
walking
a
through
very
your garden.
common wedding site and all things of that nature.
I would love to see, we've had board meetings in our indoor spaces. We've had corporate trainings.
Jane Austen Society uses.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
For their monthly meetings.
I would love to see like the 30th birthday mimosa brunch in the garden, you know, like I would love to see. And this is how we get young people. We are the photography site for prom and senior photos.
I bet.
For just about every high school
every prom
in the
season,
city.
every fall season, every dance season, we get not overrun. That makes it.
It's kind of overrun. Buses will show up, rented buses, and all their
whole
parents
high
in their
school.
cars.
The party buses.
The party
prom
buses will show up.
I had school buses in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
They will come and they just descend in their sequins and their cummerbunds and ties, and they are, prom is crawling all over here. And I think it's so fascinating that 17-year-olds want a historic natural backdrop as a culture for their photos always, you know, especially family photos or wedding photos. Like, what an honor
It's
to be the place
been a
that
place for
people want to
decades.
have on their wall forever. So I'm always like, how do we get those kids back here? We got to wait like 20 years till they start coming back with their
they do. At a
families.
certain point, they get nostalgic for it. Once they have kids of their own, they start coming back.
We had a family that was here for the book sale. They live in Boston, and it was their 24th wedding anniversary, and they were married here 24 years ago.
Lovely.
I keep saying this. I thought about having a wedding reunion and inviting everyone that was ever married here.
Oh, fun.
There would be
too many.
30,000 people here, 30,000 brides in the grounds.
And so you all also, you have so many events and so many things going on. You can rent things, you can just come and enjoy. You can tour the house, you can, you know, there's so many ways to interact with the property and the history. And you're creating those core memories.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That make people want to return. One of the things that we learned when we were touring is your great connection to Kentucky's only national park, which is Mammoth Cave National Park.
That is true.
And I'll give you a little backstory of when we were touring. In Mammoth Cave, in the Mammoth Cave area, we refer to this family as the Croghans. It's spelled Croghan. And the correct pronunciation is...
Well, Croghan. I wouldn't say correct, but that's certainly how William, the man who built the house, pronounced
That's how
his
he
name.
pronounced his name, was Croghan.
And then
like
it was his
prawn.
son, John Croghan, who bought 2,000 acres along the Green River, which included Mammoth Cave. And the Croghan family owned it until 1926, when it became a state and then national park. Yes.
Yeah, a year after Floyd Collins.
Yes.
And the people that the Croghan family enslaved, like Stephen Bishop and his family, were the ones, I always say, they sent inside to see what was going on in
But
there.
yes, who made the first rigorous maps of Mammoth Cave was Stephen Bishop, an enslaved assistant of
And when you come
John
here
Croghan.
and make those types of connections, you really do see Kentucky history in a whole different way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the reason that was sparking that in my memory, in my thoughts, was Mammoth Cave for so many people is such a core memory.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You know, once people come and say, I came when I was 6 and I'll never forget seeing that whatever. Right?
It scared the dickens out of me.
Did it?
I did not like that one bit.
Just imagine crawling through those dark tunnels in 1839 with only a lantern to light your way.
Or a torch.
Uh-huh.
But also, when you think about it, and I always call him Dr. John.
Dr. John.
And I want to say Dr. John and the Medicine Woman, but that's not right. That's how I remember his name, because there are a lot of family members and generations to keep track of.
So many beautiful portraits of the family members.
But
inside the
John
home.
grew up in a place that was known for its hospitality, visitation, and as a spot to tour or visit, right? This was a well-established home that very famous people would come visit, or or just finding the guy that wanted to see George Rogers Clark on the park. You know, part of moving the family to Cave Hill Cemetery was that the grave of George Rogers Clark was a site to visit. And so this kind of idea of tourism and hospitality and visitation is part of his upbringing. So it makes total sense to me that he would find this incredible asset and be like,
let's invite people to see.
how can I get people to pay money to look at this thing again?
In a hole in the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was at the time not easy to get to or particularly close to any.
It was an hour and a half to go 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was about 2 days for John to get down there.
Yeah.
And when you start piecing it all together, you know, like that is the Mammoth Cave National Park area became, that's why the railroad was laid, you know, through there.
Reason.
Yes. And the stagecoach lines. And, you know, so it really becomes, you know, the more you know, it's interesting how it all pieces together.
And you mentioned stagecoach, especially across Indiana. That also automatically makes me think of the Underground Railroad because of how many people were enslaved throughout rural Kentucky, down and down, especially by the caves, how they would get north. It only, you know, they're only finding ways through coaches and trains and people to hide to get to freedom. So I feel like it's kind of fortuitous in more than one way to be able to expand this transportation more than just for tourism.
Right.
I never really thought about that before now.
Makes lots of things possible.
Yeah. And you know, the river, even still today, for only being a mile across, that's a far way to go.
Wide, yeah.
That's a far way to go.
Louisville only exists because of the river and because of the falls, basically.
How, because people had to stop.
Yeah.
Had to stop.
How long does it take to get from here to the river by horse back then?
It's only a mile.
Yeah, and
So just-
you wouldn't go directly north because there was a swamp directly north. So basically,
And a lot of ravines.
yeah.
Oh, really?
The
Oh, yeah.
modern road that you take, Blankenbaker Lane, that goes down to River Road, is essentially, it's the path of least resistance. The front of the house faces the road that people would have come up. So that's probably your easiest way down to the river, is actually that way, slightly northeast or northwest
It's a
of here.
smooth slope.
So I would say probably only about 20 minutes. 20-minute walk.
We should walk it.
It's a terrible road to walk on.
I know.
There's no sidewalk.
You know, we had some flooding in March. Remember, there were tornadoes and floods coming up
We had about 6 inches of standing water in the basement.
in this basement.
Oh,
And we're on top of a hill.
Yeah, we're on the high point.
wow.
And it's a dirt cellar. So I still walk in and smell wet dirt. I just kind of like something I can still smell. But all these ravines down here in the northern part of the property, this is what I did not have on my Locust Grove bingo card for my brand new job, was that in March, right after and the week after the flood happened, there were 2 photos of 2 baby bear cubs up in a tree in the back
On our
corner
property.
of the property.
Which we have not seen before.
And then we never saw Mom, but she left a pile of evidence, if you know what I mean. And someone came in with a photo of that, very happy to show us, you know, like, here, look what was left
Bear
behind.
scat.
And we never saw her, but, you know, we only...
You wouldn't have
we
wanted to
didn't-
see her.
No, ma'am.
If the cubs
And
were,
we didn't see them any time after that week, and the floodwaters receded. So I think they just got kind of pushed to higher ground.
Pushed slightly, yeah, from their normal spot.
But yeah, there's a lot of ravines. Well, it's Kentucky, right? We're on top of water.
Yeah.
Everything about us is everything in the state is because of our water and our limestone. So there are a lot of caves and ravines and little nooks and crannies for anyone to get into. Except for me. I will stay
Yeah,
here.
staying
I'm a
out of the
terra firma
caves.
kind of girl. I'll stay out. But
Okay, what else do you want to make sure people know? It's so lovely to just sit here.
I know. Where's
is
our
really
iced tea?
pleasant.
Where's our Benedictine and pimento cheese sandwiches?
Yum.
I don't know.
Go to Wallace.
I mean, there's like a million things that we
There
could
are.
talk about.
Talk about any number of things, connections to the Lewis Clark expedition, only standing structure that we know the entire expedition stayed at. They stopped here in 1806 on their way back to Washington City. William Clark was Lucy Clark's younger brother.
What about what can the average family who travels, makes this a day trip, what can they expect to experience in a day here?
Well, I think it would take about half a day to do everything on site if you did everything on site.
Yeah,
I think it would be great to bring a picnic lunch.
Picnic lunch out here. We've got several picnic tables out scattered around the grounds. And so a tour of the house and outbuildings takes between 60 and 90 minutes. There's a museum gallery with a short film that you can watch. Between that and that takes about 2 hours to 3 hours to see everything on site, and you finish up with a nice picnic, and it's a good half a day here.
I think it would be really nice too to bring good shoes and get in the forest. See what you can forage in there.
20 acres of woodlands that have walking trails that go through them. So we're mentioning pawpaw trees possibly back there bearing fruit.
But also, if you come to Louisville for a day trip and you make Locust Grove a good chunk of that day, you're also so close to the waterfront. We are also surrounded by restaurants and shops and so many different kind of consumer experiences. But also, I don't know, when I think of people coming to Louisville, I always say, like, obviously come to Locust Grove, but don't miss Cave Hill Cemetery. It's the city of the dead, and it's truly one of the most gorgeous places in the entire city.
We've got a lot of very nice parks in Louisville, and Cave Hill Cemetery is one of the nicest.
And I always suggest walking across the Big Four Bridge.
Yeah. That really is something.
It's so fun. And
it is.
I'll never forget the day it opened. And I was right there in line, one of the first people to walk across when it opened at the opening ceremonies. And I stood in the middle and I thought, how much art could be done from this vantage point that's never been done before? How much music could you hear, or experiences or people could you meet? I've taken roller skates up there. I've taken bicycles up there. Jeffersonville has done an incredible job redoing their waterfront in a way that there are experiences on both sides of the river.
Right.
And, Louisville, we had this flood in 1937. Everyone knows about it. But it didn't just change the face of both sides of the river. It changed our culture of being connected to the water. There are historical references where, when the river would freeze, you could ice skate, and there were German orchestra beer halls in the middle of the river. You go get a sausage and a beer and listen to music in the middle of the river. And a lot of other river cities have boats and casinos and all sorts of river experiences. And we had a berm for nearly the last 100 years. And only in the last 20, 25 years did we decide, let's move the piles of coal and gravel.
Let's be the river city again.
And connect ourselves to the water. So I think the Big Four is one of the best ways that you can physically experience the majesty of the Ohio River, which
Absolutely.
is it's a force that when you're standing over it, you feel it.
Absolutely.
So I always recommend that. If Locust Grove, Cave Hill, Big Four, what a day!
It is.
That would be a great day.
Yeah. And also, at the time we're taping, Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular is about to happen, which is at
Iroquois
another
Park.
Metro Park, right?
At Iroquois.
So
it is very impressive. Thousands upon thousands of carved jack-o'-lanterns.
Ain't that
changed
something?
Every day.
But Iroquois Park was known as Burnt Knob. So it was. There's a myth in Kentucky that no one lived here.
Right.
But the Shawnee and the Cherokee and many other tribes lived here for millennia before we were ever here. And so places like Burnt Knob or Jephthah Knob, which is now Shelbyville, or the natural harbor on the Indiana side was easier to access. And when I say that the Shawnee, and we learned these from Daniel Boone's trials, but they would go up and down to Detroit like it was nothing.
Yeah.
You know, we're saying half a day's ride to get downtown, but it would take 5 weeks to get to Detroit on foot from Indian tribes, or up the Wabash River to, you know, the Louisville to Chicago I-65 trek. These are pathways that indigenous tribes had for thousands of years. And so I'm glad that Frederick Law Olmsted named all our parks for the tribes, because
It's a reminder of,
well, it's just, again, it's another thing you're not going to learn. You're not going to learn about the Shawnee towns or the ways that they managed this landscape before it was colonized by the Virginia planters.
We say that there was no one here before European settlers. That's not true at all.
Oh, no.
It wasn't densely populated necessarily, but there were significant Native American mounds that have almost entirely been destroyed. In the
Well, it filled the ponds. So remember when I mentioned downtown, there were over 16 large ponds. One was called Long Pond, and it went from like 4th Street to 18th Street.
That's long.
From like Market to Broadway. It was a huge pond. So they would level everything to fill in the ponds to keep from people getting sick, right?
More land.
So, but yeah, it's a good reminder of the fact that we're just the current residents.
Exactly. There's a long history of habitation. We're just the current stewards of this land. Locust Grove, the house was built in the 1790s, but this land has seen far more than that.
You know, I always love the story of the day George Rogers Clark shot the falls. So when you come to the falls of the Ohio, you have to go through a chute.
Yeah, you have to wait for the waters to rise high enough.
And he comes with this boat full of families. And I learned this at the Filson Historical Society, that when he came around the bend and the day that he arrived I think it's May 27th.
So it's when they arrived. It's when they left.
There was a total eclipse of the sun.
It's when they left.
Wow.
It was on June 25th of 1778. They waited till they shot the falls the moment they went over the falls.
There was a total eclipse of the sun.
Wow.
Which they took as a good omen.
But of course, the indigenous here, like, come out and they see this thing happening. I just imagine they would think, like, what a sign from above.
Exactly.
And it's George.
6 foot tall ginger man.
Red-haired guy with all these people.
Going over the falls.
That's all I could think about is what in the world were they thinking was going on around here.
The bravado of it all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's the story of Louisville's beginning. And that's what connects me to how Louisville is today. The culture of the city. We are a city of vice. We are a city of hospitality. We are a city of people coming and going, whether they stay overnight or for 20 years. We are a welcoming place. We're a stopping point and a starting point. And we've always been that way from our first day when George Rogers Clark drops off all these people on the island and then leaves and there's a total eclipse. Like, who knows what's going to happen here? You never know. It could be above or below, but it's going to be fun.
We agree.
It might hurt in the morning, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Well, what an honor it is to have you all here.
Yes, thank you so much.
You know, we appreciate good people coming around, and y'all are good people.
like
I like sitting on the porch with people.
Yeah.
I mean, what an honor and a treat for us to come and experience.
Yeah.
We try to only show what people can see themselves. But
Yeah.
it is nice in this type of setting to do some behind the scenes things that will hopefully get people ready
Yeah.
to visit. You know.
Yeah. That's
So-
great.